Yeah.
It's good. Just I'm looking for my camera battery charger. I can't find it. I've been looking for my camcorder. I got this charger, and I can't find it. It seemed it got lost somewhere in Michigan. I'm trying to find it. I don't know where it's disappeared to. Anybody seen it?
Well, I mean, there's 11 different places that it could be, so who knows?
Who knows?
Did perhaps maybe an intern of yours happen to stumble on it and just end up in so many different places playing Where's Waldo with it?
You're right. It might have been that intern. Yeah.
There were so many ticket stubs.
Yeah, so many.
Yeah.
I wonder why that defense is playing so lights out right now.
It's almost like they know what's about to happen.
It should be more lights on, with the camera light being on.
Yeah.
Right. Lights on, mics on.
Yeah, buddy, we're back again. Cinco Squad, episode 82. We are back. Sports are in full tact right now. We got baseball, hockey, football, college and college basketball right around the corner. And, of course, we got football across the pond, as Jamie will allude to later. With me are my brothers, of course, Trey Day, Jamie, or Grandpa Jay, Mike Sano, and Jonathan Sawyer.
What up?
Fellas, how's your week going so far?
Wish we had the first.
Blandito.
Yeah.
It's good. Just I'm looking for my camera battery charger. I can't find it. I've been looking for my camcorder. I got this charger, and I can't find it. It seemed it got lost somewhere in Michigan. I'm trying to find it. I don't know where it's disappeared to. Anybody seen it?
Well, I mean, there's 11 different places that it could be, so who knows?
Who knows?
Did perhaps maybe an intern of yours happen to stumble on it and just end up in so many different places playing Where's Waldo with it?
You're right. It might have been that intern. Yeah.
There were so many ticket stubs.
Yeah, so many.
Yeah.
I wonder why that defense is playing so lights out right now.
It's almost like they know what's about to happen.
It should be more lights on, with the camera light being on at all times.
All right.
Lights on, mics on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm on.
We're on.
We're on.
Yeah. You know what the shitty part about that guy is he's a former captain in the Navy SEALs.
What?
That's who the guy that they supposedly Scott Stolens or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He's a former captain in the Navy SEALs. And I've been like so confused. I'm like, those guys are supposed to be like tactical. I'm like,
He was tactical.
Whatever it takes.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, you're not guilty until you're guilty until you're innocent until proven guilty.
No, you're guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, you're guilty. So we'll see what happens in this investigation. It's not looking good for my Michigan Wolverines. I don't know what's going to come out of this, but the unfortunate part is they are playing really good football right now, and that could be tainted, unfortunately, and might be taken back from us. So hopefully let's move on to some positives. We had NHL debuting last night, the Frozen Frenzy, and I kind of did a clip on that, which I thought was actually really cool. Wanted to get your guys' take on that before we go into Mike's mind, just on what's your guys' thoughts on that. It's basically like a red zone for NHL, and I watched it, and it's actually pretty cool. They have like literally Buccigross in the studio with like this big wall of monitors, and he's basically just calling out the games, and I thought it was really cool. I'm interested to see what you guys think on this stuff.
I'm down for any type of red zone, multiple camera views. I'm always down for all that. I don't want it to be basic and boring. Just stare at like this 8-2 game that's like shitty when we can go somewhere else that's more exciting or, miss a moment. It makes you a more engaged fan. You know a little more what's going on. That's why I watch a lot of red zone for NFL. Mm-hmm. I've been like a multi-view for like the college games and all that type of thing.
I feel like if you're a non-hockey fan, it's hard to follow the game because the puck is so hard to see. Like if you don't know the flow of the game and how the game works and what you're looking for, you kind of get confused as to like where the main item of the game is. Like where's the puck? We need to locate it to know what's going on. So I feel that does a great job at like dialing you in on like, hey, take a look at this player and what he's about to do right now. So it makes the game for the average fan easier to follow. I think they will get more people interested and attract more people to the game because of it. So it's a great move by the NHL. Great move.
Yeah, definitely. I got a good look at it. I was switching between that and the baseball game. And yeah, I mean, I was excited when they first announced it because I also like watching Red Zone when it comes to the NFL, especially when the Giants aren't playing, when I'm not dialed in to my team play, which Giants loosely play a game called football. Yeah,
They got it done.
they did. It was a painful looking one, but
Doesn't matter how you get it. You just got
a win's a win's a win.
a win to win.
But yeah, no, I like the idea, and I know John, you and I have been talking about John Buccigross is the perfect person to get to be doing that because the dude is all about hockey and he knows what he's talking about and he's fun. He's a fun guy to listen to talk about hockey. So I'm
Dude
really
is
excited.
fucking ripped too. Like he was on the Pat McAfee show. He's like tatted. He's like, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Oh, John Buccigross. He's like in a heater and everything. He's like, yeah, I just got done with the gym, just going to get ready for the night. I'm like, damn. Okay, John. That's you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool because it could be like a beta test for other leagues, like NBA, like MLB, like getting them more involved, getting the fans involved, where you don't have to buy these expensive ass season passes. You can buy like a $10 or $25 a month package where you can get watch every single game. It's not like you're watching your team, but you get to watch your team eventually. So I think it's pretty cool. I just want to get you guys' take on that. But there's one take I want to know, as Mike and I alluded to earlier or yesterday on the rotation, is that the World Series is here, fellas. And I'm going to go around the horn, give your prediction and how many games, because we didn't give our predictions yet. We waited until the show. So
Nice.
Arizona versus Texas in the World Series. Game 1 starts Friday at 8. I'm going to throw it over to Trey. Trey Day, who you got and how many games?
Rangers, 6 games. We're going to trust Bruce Bochy. He's done it before. He's going to do it again.
Grandpa Jay?
Yeah, took the words out of my mouth. Bruce Bochy doesn't lose in these situations. You got Scherzer going on the mount, maybe possibly 3 times. If it goes to 7, it won't get there. I actually think that Arizona's youngsters, though ignorant in mind here, getting over the hump in the NLCS got them here. I think that actually shrinks and diminishes them in the World Series. Rangers in 5.
Mike?
I agree in the sense that I think the Texas Rangers are the better team. We've been talking about for a long time, both on here and the rotation. Texas is built for the playoffs, but I'm not counting out those snakes. I'm going to go Texas in 7. I think this is going all the way. John?
Not so fast.
Oh, Lee Corso.
I'm taking the Arizona Diamondbacks, the young guns in Arizona. They are looking great. They're hitting the ball well. The one thing that Mike and I said on the rotation is that the Phillies live and die by the long ball. Well, it's kind of the opposite for Arizona. They hit for contact. They get on base. They drive runners in. They do the old school baseball way. And I think that's going to help them in a longer series like it did against the Phillies. I'm saying Diamondbacks in 6. So
great. A la reminiscent of when those Marlins beat your Cleveland Indians and had a very similar young team.
Should I exit now or?
Don't worry. They kept showing the highlight throughout the whole Diamondback series about the 2001 World Series. Luis Gonzalez walked it off for the. I was like, God damn it.
Over second base.
Bro, that World Series, I was just like, how did we lose? We were up going into the 8th. And if you tell me Mariano Rivera has the ball in the 9th inning when we're up 2, you think win, but wasn't in that case.
I mean, but here's what nobody's really mentioning. I know it happens in hockey more. How does the home team not win 1 game in the ALCS? How crazy!
Baseball's one of the hardest sports. As anybody doesn't,
home field means what it used to.
Baseball.
I don't think home field means what it used to.
I guess.
And I also think it's pitchers are pitching a lot better nowadays. They got a lot more stuff in their holster. They really are playing the game at a very high level, and it's all about continuing a hot streak. And if you start to miss on the ball and you're not like seeing something right, you're in trouble because a lot of guys coming out of the bullpen. I also think that that's the key too. Is a lot of people are coming out of the bullpen. They're pitching every 2 innings and then they're pulling someone in. So you got to get used to a new pitcher right away. So we'll see. One thing that we've been used to is what's on Mike's mind. That has been great. I've been loving hearing everything you had to say. So, Mike, take it away with what is on your mind.
Yes. What is on my mind this week? Well, gentlemen, I come to you today with another NBA fact
Well, not that.
Oh,
that I had
Like Michael.
heard throughout this week. I can't remember which day I heard it, but it's a short one, short and
That's-
sweet, but it's very interesting to me. And that is this. Kevin Garnett, anything is possible with Kevin Garnett, as we all know. KG, one of the best power forwards possibly to ever play the game, depending on how you feel about him. Kevin Garnett stands as the only player in NBA history to have played against the 72-10 Bulls and the 73-9 Warriors.
really?
Yeah,
Of all the players that have played in
Yeah.
the NBA, he's the only one that ever played at least one game against both teams.
Wow.
I didn't know that. He was still playing in
He was,
16,
yeah.
17?
Very tail end of his career, yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Who was he playing for?
beginning of his career, end of it. I think with the I think honestly, both times would have been with the
He went back
Timberwolves.
to the Timberwolves at the end of his career. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Wow. So
Yeah.
he's like Udonis Haslam on the Timberwolves.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
with a little stop in Boston and Brooklyn. But yeah. Oddly enough, also as addition to that fact, I believe both times it would have been with the Timberwolves, just in two different stints.
That's sweet.
Yeah,
That's
I was
awesome.
like, wait a minute, hold on, is that true?
Did he win?
That I don't know. That is a good question. Did he ever beat both teams?
I highly doubt.
I highly doubt it. It was the Timberwolves. It was that year's
Yeah, they had-
Timberwolves against the Warriors.
They had 9 losses. I don't know
They
if
had-
one of them.
I don't know if the
one had
Timberwolves
10,
were one of
one
them.
had 9.
Yeah, I don't know if the Timberwolves in either case were one of the 9 or 10 losses. But yeah, I found that really interesting that a very young Garnett played the at the time record-setting Bulls, and then a very old Garnett played against the record-setting Warriors. But if we're gonna set records out here, you know what records I want to set, guys? I want to set records with Jamie's locks of the week. Take it away, Jay.
We are on the struggle bus once again, coming off a 1 and 2 week last week, but we're turning things around this week. I'm not going to promise it. I'm just going to say I went safe this week. I went on a limb a couple of times. I do think that I have to go back and find my little cushion, sit down on that cushion and say, I'm comfy right here this week, boys and girls. So here's what we're going with. We got a Friday lock, a Saturday lock, and a Sunday lock. I don't think the Miami Heat care about going up to Boston and getting a W this week. I feel Boston feels a little bit slighted by what happened last year in the playoffs. I do think they owe their fans one. I don't know what the line is yet. I don't care what it is. Take the Celtics to win on the money line. And whatever their score line, it could be -6, -7, but let's just play it safer. We're talking about being safe. Celtics over Heat, money line bet. That's a gimme because the Heat never really come out playing well to start the season. Then on Saturday, yes, ladies and gentlemen, prime time will be at the Rose Bowl. It's UCLA homecoming, and we know he wants to spoil that homecoming more than anything. We got Travis Hunter Jr. back on the field, which means the defense has a chance to at least slow down that UCLA offense. Colorado State 17.5. I love that. Take Colorado State to cover 17.5 points. Then on Sunday, I thought San Fran was going to turn it around and get a win in Minnesota, but behold, the Vikings are showing some fight all of a sudden, and I feel like Kirk Cousins feels like a new man all of a sudden. Given that I have no love for Jordan Love, and that Green Bay offense looks worse than it's ever looked in the past 5 years, I don't know why people didn't expect this without Aaron Rodgers on the field. Green Bay looks like they are declining. Minnesota looks like they are heading in the right direction. Vikings 1-point favorite in Green Bay. This doesn't even feel like a 1-point game. I feel the Vikings win this by a touchdown. So go ahead and take the Vikings by -1 and give yourself a 3-for-3 weekend. Boston over Miami on Friday. Colorado to cover 17.5 in the Rose Bowl against UCLA on Saturday. And then on Sunday, 1 p.m. game. It's the NFC North rivalry. Everybody always talks about the purple people eaters going into Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers. Take that one. Vikings beat Green Bay on Sunday.
The purple people.
Purple people.
That's
eaters.
I can't say that. I don't know why I can't say it.
It's a tongue twister. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So my favorite sports personality individual that never gets on the field, some people call him Jim McInville. The rest of us know him as Mattress Mack. So Mattress Mack's at Game 7 in Houston, and all of us are thinking, well, Houston's going back to the World Series. But at the same time, I mean, Scherzer's on the mound for the Rangers. You got Bruce Bochy in the dugout there. So I kind of thought it was Texas. But, of course, he wanted to be Houston because Mattress Mack over the course of this season put about somewhere in the region of $13 million on the Astros to go ahead and win the World Series. If it had paid out, we know that Astros lose Game 7, he would have got somewhere in the region of a net of $43 million. But one has to ask the question, right? How can someone wager close to $13 million on one outcome of a team? Well, if you guys knew about Mattress Mack last year, my guy went ahead and cashed out $75 million on the Astros beating the Phillies in the World Series. So drop in the bucket, sucker, loses about 15% of what he made last year, still has over like 50, 60 mil from that. So I'm thinking to myself, well, did it really hurt him that much? I mean, he did look distraught, and losing $13 million should hurt anybody's feelings, but he's still up like $60 million from last year, right? But here's what I'm thinking to myself. Being such a huge Houston fan, if he had looked at the odds for Rookie of the Year, CJ Stroud sitting there at plus 650. If he had decided to put 10, maybe that 13 million on CJ Stroud instead, you're looking at an $84 million payout right now. And that would make Mattress Mack, once again, he would have gone from the most winningest individual for any sports bet in history at 75, and he would have upped himself by almost 10 mil by believing in a new Houston young slinger, young gunner, CJ Stroud. So here's what I'm saying to you, Mattress Mack. You got to go with the youth. You got to believe in young CJ, because right now you'd be sitting there prettily watching Houston lose games, but knowing that CJ Stroud is on the fast track to winning Rookie of the Year, and you would have been $85 million richer, or maybe about like $80 million richer, or $70 million, whatever the math is, because you, my man, love your Houston fans. You love your Houston people. You love your Houston sports personality. And me, I just love cheering for Mattress Mack because the guy has the biggest cojones on the planet when it comes to sports betting.
So that was Jamie's locks of the week. Make sure you lock those in. He's been on a struggle bus the last couple of weeks, but he's getting back on the bus this week. So make sure you tune in. And of course, those picks were brought to you by Fans Idea. Make sure you go to fansidea.com. Get yourself a fresh jersey like Mike and I have on. You can put your logos on it. You can get any jersey: hockey, basketball, football. Get all four. I don't care. But get all of it. Get all of it. But get 10% off with Cinco Squad 10. That's Cinco Squad 10. And then go to ShankIt Golf to get yourself some golf gear for either the wintertime or the springtime, depending on where you live. But get some swaggy golf gear like this hat here for 15% off with discount code Cinco Squad. That's Cinco Squad. Mike doesn't have three hands, so but it's 15%.
I don't know if I had three hands, it's 15.
Well, fellas, with all the backup quarterbacks going on in the league right now, I feel like every team has a backup. Like there's 15 teams with backups, 15 teams without. With all these teams that have backups playing every single week, it seems like, which backup quarterback has been the worst, and which backup quarterback has been like, oh, okay, I can see them making a decent playoff run with this one. Mike, take it away.
So this was kind of a tough choice for me, as far as the guys that have played versus the guys that haven't played. Because honestly, I feel like some of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL are the ones that aren't playing at the moment. Sure. Which one? It's
because they're not playing because of the best.
Exactly. Gee, that's a tough one. So honestly, of the backup quarterbacks that have played, the one I would trust the most to be able to get my team wins is honestly Andy Dalton. Simply because I say what you want about the team around him, but I think as far as the experience goes, I would take a guy with Dalton's experience and his ability he's played capable quarterback as a backup quarterback for multiple teams now, as well as a starter early in his career with Cincinnati. So if I had to take any current backup quarterback that's played this year, I would take Andy Dalton.
I can't remember if those Cincy teams were any good or not. I know there were some. I think there were some teams where they were like really good, and then there was the other years where he wasn't. I see what you're saying because he was a starter. He knows how to be a starter. Long term, I mean, my first initial thought was like no, but I can see it. I mean, he hasn't proven himself over the last 4 or 5 years, right? But I actually can see it. He can come in, manage a game, not do too much, and if he's a solid squad around him, like if he had to come in, I don't know where he is right now. I think he's with Carolina. But
yeah,
if he came in with like the Niners, let's just say, if he came in with the Eagles, the Dolphins, any of these teams that are powerhouses, I think he could get the job done by just doing enough, like kind of like what Purdy's doing in with San Fran.
Right.
I just don't see it on like a bad team, right? Like a team that needs a quarterback to win, like Houston. Houston is a completely different team if they don't have CJ right now. So
right. Yeah, I just feel like you could do a lot worse than Andy Dalton at quarterback.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Dre?
So I was down to 2 people, but I'm going to pick this one guy. And the reason I'm going to pick him is because I think he actually – they're not going to do it, but he probably should be actually starting. And, Mike, how do you actually feel about Tyrod Taylor?
I figured.
You're damn right. He has had a better season than damn Daniel Jones. If y'all probably had him out there, y'all probably be over 500. They have the same amount of touchdowns thrown, but Tyrod doesn't have 6 interceptions. Daniel's turning the fucking ball over. He's out here getting a sack. His pocket awareness looks like shit. Meanwhile, Tyrod comes in, and suddenly this shitty offensive line looks at least half-ass capable when this other guy comes in. The quarterback rate, I think Tyrod's at around 95. Daniel Jones is at like 71. Even though Daniel Jones has played in more games, he's only ahead by like 250 yards or something. So as far as I'm concerned, if the Giants want to win, put Tyrod in. And that's what I need to say. I need to be the man's campaign manager. I don't see it with Daniel. Daniel's out here making all this money, and the team looks better. Mike, you have to admit this. They look better. You know the truth here. You know it.
They do, Mike. They do. They look a lot better.
Trusted to go win this game. You can be stubborn as you want to, and that's why the Giants are going to be stuck with that because of that mentality right there. We're going to live and die with Daniel Jones. And you know what's going to happen? You're probably going to get stumped up by the Eagles. Then the Cowboys are going to stump you out, and everybody's going to keep stumping you out because you just want to keep putting Daniel in when Daniel ain't it.
Trey, they're paying him $40 million. We don't have a choice.
You didn't never pay him $40 million.
I agree with that, but
stop it. Just stop it.
I can't.
Stop funding. Freeze his assets.
I don't think that's legal.
Find a scandal. Find a scandal.
Find a scandal.
Out of there.
Look,
yeah, I don't know.
Find a scandal with Daniel Jones.
It is crazy though, because I've watched the Giants play over the last couple of weeks. I watched them play against the Bills, and the offense is rolling a lot better with him in the off. Now I don't know if that is solely because of Tyrod. It could have been they looked horrible against Seattle, and you can't get any worse.
Tyrod. You know why? It's because of Tyrod. Mike, what's your fantasy football team's name?
Oh yeah,
take me Hyatt.
No, you gotta do it. You gotta do it the right way. Do it the right way.
Fine. Bust out my Scott Stapp. By the way,
come on, let's go.
Creed's back. Creed is back, and they're going to be touring. So if you like Creed, can you take me higher? I was very proud of myself when I named
it.
They
finally started playing him.
Yes, he's throwing it to
looks like
jail.
A better player right now.
Yeah.
Y'all went out there and played Waller. He looks like a better player. The only thing that changed was the person getting the ball, and the other person couldn't get to the ball. Suddenly, these people look like actual NFL players. So no, it is a difference with him out there. How you sitting Danny Brown on your roster with Daniel Jones out there on your fantasy roster? Now you might be able to actually put him in a flex position.
No, not with my roster, but it's nice to have him on the team.
Well, me and Jamie have first and second place problems here.
Don't worry.
I basically locked in second place, hopefully, because after that pushing I got this week, I don't think I can win the league. Got to play you in the championship game. There you go, John. Hold it back a little bit so they can really see. Thank you very much.
Anybody that's doing this, let's pray for John's team.
I am 0-7.
There are only 2% of fantasy football teams that have not won a game so far. I saw that on the side of the ESPN.
John is a part of it.
Hey, I'm rare. So
rare.
You are a rare air.
Also, guys, remember, it took him about 10 weeks to get his first win and stump the squad. He's just waiting for week 10 in fantasy football as well.
He's got John, I hate to tell you, there's less weeks in fantasy football than there is in Stump the Squad. You might want to
I extended the season. This is a 2-year season, so I got 12. All right, Jay. Which backup?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go up to my man in Indy. We all knew that Anthony Richardson wasn't going to make it through the season. Yes, sir. The mustached one, Mr. Gardner Minshew. Look, it was like the biggest up and down game you could have. He accounts for 4 touchdowns on offense, but he turns the ball over 4 times against Cleveland, right? That basically, like, Myles Garrett is up in his guy's grill for the whole game. Myles Garrett's making every play that you could possibly make as a defensive player. Somehow he hangs in there. He gives his team a shot to win. Then Cleveland gets the ball back. They charge down the field. I thought 2 of the worst defensive calls of the week to give them the ball on the 1-yard line. Kareem Hunt rushes it in. Yes. Game over right there. I thought he did enough to give his team a chance to win despite the 4 turnovers. And you expect that from a backup, right? But every time he's come in the game, over 300 yards passing against Cleveland's defense too is pretty impressive. The guy has shown not only is he a baller, but since he's had an opportunity, 32 games, 24 starts, he's thrown for over 6,000 yards and 44 touchdowns against only 15 interceptions. Not only does he take care of the ball, that's a 3-to-1 ratio. The guy can ball. He should be starting for a team that is a la the New York Giants, or the Jets should have made a huge push for him, because I feel like knowing that Aaron Rodgers could possibly be injured, he could salvage a season for you with that defense. To me, he's the best backup quarterback in the league that gives you a chance to win under any circumstance.
Yes.
I actually agree with that. That was my other pick, but
yeah, me too.
I just more urgently needed to point out the Giants fact.
Oh, gee, I wonder why.
Well, I actually had Gardner Minshew as well, because I'm looking around the league. I'm seeing at first my first pick was Josh Dobbs. I love what he's been doing with the offense in Arizona. Now, granted, Arizona has played a very tough schedule. I mean, they started off with the Commanders and the Giants. They had to win against the Giants. You guys came back and won, but they beat the Cowboys. They had to play the Niners, the Bengals, the Rams, and Seahawks. So those are 4 tough games that they got to play right there. 4 playoff potential teams right there. So I think it's safe to say he's had pretty much of a gauntlet to go through. Josh Dobbs has come in and caved that. I mean, I'm sorry to shit on Kyler Murray's height, but it's just he's seeing the field a lot better than Kyler Murray ever has, and it's just because Kyler's not able to see over the 6'10", 6'9" lineman, and that's why they had to get Justin Pugh.
About 5'9" lineman. What are we talking about here?
They actually had to get Justin Pugh out and bring in someone shorter because he had to get the snap from someone small.
Now he's a giant again.
But I gotta say, the Gardner man he was a Phillies backup. I love when he came in for us last year. Obviously, it wasn't going to be Jalen Hurts last year. No, that's a very big shoes to fill. Mm-hmm. But I love his. Everyone loves him. Everyone that talks about Gardner Minshew, they just love his vibe. They love the way he's just nonchalant with things and just easygoing, gets along with everybody. So if you're going to put someone in a situation, I agree with you, Trey and Jamie, that guy can win a team and get a team to a playoffs. And by the way, they did get screwed in that game. So, So I agree with you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've been online, and one of the big news that just came out is the fact that the NBA is scrapping the whole idea of the All-Star game with the draft and everything such as that. To be honest with you, I actually kind of enjoyed it. I know overwhelmingly I saw a lot of fans that didn't enjoy it, but I liked that we got to mix up the teams, and I thought it was kind of a cool fact. But if the fans want to go back to the old traditional style, that's perfectly fine. But the alternative thing that I would actually give you as a solution, which I think would be really interesting, would be if the NBA was to consider doing a World versus USA game. Now, we already did it in the Rising Stars game, but with the way the NBA is going these days, there's so many international players. An international team will give the USA team a hell of a run for his money. Just for this start of the year, we actually have over 120 players that are from different international countries. We have 35 countries that are represented in the league. That's as of starting opening night for 2023 here. You got a lot of international superstars such as Jokic, Giannis, those being a couple of your previous MVPs, young rising stars like Josh Giddey. Of course, you got Luka, you got Pascal Siakam, SGA, who might be a future MVP, Jamal Murray, who helped the Jokic to get that championship, Andrew Wiggins is up there from Canada. So you can get a really interesting USA versus country game, and I think that would be a good spin on it. But if the fans want to go back to the old way, that's perfectly fine. Something I would consider, and I saw this overwhelmingly online, is I would actually consider going back to that brief period where the NBA let the players wear the team jersey of their normal team. It was kind of cool to see like a Lakers jersey next to a Portland Blazers jersey next to a Rockets jersey, or seeing like a Knicks jersey next to a Celtics jersey. Because honestly, half the time the USA or the All-Star jerseys, they're pretty trash for real. And the only reason the NBA is doing it is because it's a money ploy. But y'all tell me what y'all think.
So as we continue this train on rolling with our topics,
Check.
We have the NBA started this week, fellas, and it is back. And one thing I have to mention about the NBA before we get into this is I will say I watched preseason basketball for the first time in years. And I got to say, a lot of these games in the preseason, they were playing their starters 4 quarters. Not LeBron, obviously, and AD, because AD gets hurt picking up a pencil. But these games, I watched, Malin was up in Boston. She went to the 76ers in Boston game. Mike and I, when he was here, watched it. And that looked like a game 6 type game. Like they were going at it for 4 quarters, all starters. And I really am enjoying the fact that they're actually taking pride to this. It was kind of like a slap in the face, the rule that came out this year about the resting, the no resting rules and stuff like that. So I really like it. But to go off of that, which NBA team from last year has the biggest, incline, and which one has the biggest decline, do you think, throughout the season? Trey, our basketball resident?
I hate to say this to you, John, but I think it's the Miami Heat. It's probably for obvious reasons. They spent the entire offseason on the whole let's get Dame campaign, so they didn't make any moves because they were trying to get Dame. Once they didn't get Dame, it was too late at the point in the season it happens to have a backup plan. Then out of this blue, you get this one Hail Mary chance, which was in the way of Drew Holiday. And then they don't get Drew Holiday either, so now you don't get either of the 2 moves to make what they needed to make the team better. On top of that, you lose Strus, and you lose Gabe Vincent, so you lose a couple other key pieces from the championship team or championship runner-up team. Tyler Hero, as good as he is, I think he's going to be somewhat of a wild card, and it's partly because, man, when you sit up there for that whole time, everybody's like, get rid of him. I don't want him anymore. That's a lot to ask for that dude to mentally come back. And the question is, will he be fully invested with the Heat? Because clearly the Heat aren't that much invested in him. They spent the whole offseason trying to sell up, let's get rid of this guy to try to go get somebody else. That's like, you're with your current girlfriend, she keeps looking at some other dude. It's like, oh, damn, let's look at this man. And then now you're like, no, baby, come back. I want you. You actually are attractive once she realizes that Dwayne Johnson doesn't want to be with her. She's just really a 6. So it's a rough,
out of all the people in the world.
So it's a rock.
The biggest motherfucker in the world, he goes.
Hey, and Dame's one of the biggest motherfuckers in the world. Dame isn't the Dwayne Johnson, like this. No, he's close. You lose that, and then the other issue I have with them is, like they added Josh Richardson, but he hasn't done shit in years. Yeah, then you look at some of the ages. Jimmy's up to 34 himself, so he's starting to get older. Lowry's 35, Love's 37, so they're old. On top of that, so I just the Heat for me, man. The Dame pursuit killed it.
Well, not only did it kill that chance to win, they ignored the fact that Bradley Beal was on the table and he was legitimately wanting to be a Miami Heat. And it's like, Dame's not coming. Go after Beal.
Well, that's what I kept saying. I didn't understand, the infatuation. Like, yeah, of course, if you can get Dame Lillard, I'm a Heat fan. Like, I would have loved it. He's one of my favorite. After Dwayne Wade left, he's one of my favorite players in the NBA still. Like, I would love that. That would have been perfect. But the cards just didn't match up. And I knew it didn't match up. And I was like, okay, that's gone. Now let's focus on something else. But the problem is and I love Pat Riley, but it's a cursing and a blessing to have him too, because he's very stubborn and very, very ignorant in a sense. If something doesn't go his way, he's done. Because Portland even came out and said the Heat didn't return our calls after the first deal. They didn't counter anything. So it's like, at that point, they were trying, but you weren't countering anything. So, you would have had to throw in Bam. You would have had to throw in one of the guys because they didn't have anybody. The problem is they gave away so many bad contracts on the Heat that, and I thought last year they were done for.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
You throw in Bam for Nurkic and you're okay.
He's going to do great
this year. So.
Similar.
Yeah.
Jay, take it away with yours.
One of the birthplaces of basketball, I think that this is their year to really shine a little bit more. And that's the Indiana Pacers, 35-47 last year. They go out to get Obi Toppin, who looks great right now in preseason with them. They got Malcolm Brogdon to come in and who could possibly start for them at point guard. Hopefully, Victor Oladipo could get back on the health train, and at some point he could be significant for them. But then you have a big three, right? And I don't even call that superstar. You have a big three. You got Buddy Hield, DeMontis Sabonis, and Miles Turner. And then you have your big ticket stud in Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, what more do you need right now to get a team over that hump and to at least give yourself a chance to be in the playoff picture? Maybe if they don't have to play on the playing weekend, they get in there in like the 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 spot. I don't think the East is that deep where they can't possibly be flirting with a 5 or a 6 this year. I like what I saw last year. Injuries really just beriddled the team like about midway through. And Tyrese was out for about a 2 or 3 week period where they lost almost every game at that point. And I really feel like they put themselves in a position now to compete in the East. It's wide open this year, other than we know the top 3 spots are probably going to be Bucks and Celtics and most likely 76ers if, the Harden thing works out. Other than that, it's a toss-up, and who knows? Maybe they even position themselves in the 4 or 5 position. I think Indiana will have the biggest turnaround of any team this season. They probably win about 12 to 13 more games and get to like 48 wins this year, I think.
I'm going to go with the biggest team that has the biggest incline right now, and they've been knocking on the door the last couple of years in the first half of the season, is the Orlando Magic. They have a really young roster, and they have depth. One thing that Trey alludes to all the time in his clips is the teams in the playoffs that have depth go farther. It's just natural. I mean, look at the Denver Nuggets. They had depth. They had a 5-man rotation pretty much going in and out against the Heat. If you have that, and especially these guys that are now 3-4 years in the league, they're getting Cole Anthony back. They got Markelle Fultz, who's resurged as a great point guard. Jalen Suggs. They got Jonathan Isaac coming off the bench this year, which is crazy to think. Gary Harris, Mo Wagner, and his brother Franz.
Wagner. Excuse me, Wagner.
Wagner.
Is it Wagner? I never understood that at Michigan. I was like, what? It's Wagner. God damn it.
No, it's
in America. It's Wagner.
They're German, so they pronounce W's,
Wagner.
V's.
I know. But I just like that team. I think they're going to have a little bit of a struggle at first getting some chemistry, but I think they have the rookie of the year on the team. They have Wendell Carter Jr., who I think went to Duke and played with Paulo Banchero. So it's a lot of chemistry. They're young, they're athletic, and they have a lot of depth. So I think they're going to win at least 15 to maybe 16 more games this year and get themselves into either the play-in tournament or the playoffs.
Mikey, how dare he not mention Cole Anthony, the one?
I mentioned Cole Anthony. I said
you didn't give him no credit. You didn't give him no credit.
Yes, I did. I said it was the first. I said Cole Anthony's back off his injury, and he's going to be a great.
He also signed a 3-year, $39 million extension. The man gets paid off an injury. Not bad. That means they really trust him.
Well, he did lead them in scoring off the bench.
That's a great
first game.
Right there.
Great agent.
Mike, who you got?
Well, my initial choice actually was the Orlando Magic. I the fact that they have a college all-star, they have the All-American team from the last 3 years, I think is big. The other one, and I know we say it every year about them, I know, but this might finally be the year of the Pistons. With the amount of young talent they've put together and the amount of guard depth, I think Oscar Thompson is a good complement to them playing the 3. I know positionless basketball is really what they're basing themselves on, which is fine. But, they got guys. I like the big men that they have. They got Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart originally from Rochester, New York. And they have depth from Marvin Bagley. I like bringing in a veteran like Joe Harris to get his shots up. Jaden Ivey right now is projected to be on the bench for them coming off as essentially their 6th man because they got Killian Hayes playing point guard and Cade Cunningham. But I like their guard rotation. I like their ability to play positionless basketball in an Eastern Conference where that's becoming more and more above all between the two conferences, the trend of teams playing positionless basketball and just having guys that can guard all 5 guys on the floor. So I think they could be a sneaky team that is on the incline, maybe not quite ready for the playoffs yet, but it could surprise some teams and play spoiler near the end of the year, along with, like I said, the Orlando Magic, who are the team that may interest me the most this year.
Quick question. Who do y'all have for the finals this year since we're here?
Well, and all of us just went in the East right there, so there's no talk of the Western Conference. Quite interesting.
Well, I did have on the West. I did have on the
Wild
West.
West, baby.
The biggest decline this year is going to be the Memphis Grizzlies. They're without John Morant for, I think, a month. They don't have.
Remember, they have a better record
games.
without him. They have a very good record without him.
What did Trey? Hold on. What Trey?
25 games.
25 games. So I mean, that's a quarter of their season. So I just think they're not gonna. I think the addition of Marcus Smart, even though he doesn't want to be there, I mean that could play a big factor. I just don't see them having the same, firepower as they did last year. Steven Adams out for the year. That's a big hit. So I think that's what I would say on the West. But to answer your question, Trey, for finals, I have the Golden State Warriors taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. And do you want the prediction?
Not just finals.
No, just who you got in the finals. Who's going to beat it? Yeah,
final Warriors and Sixers. Jamie?
Jay?
Los Phoenix Suns against those much improved Buccaneers of Milwaukee.
You just wanted to say Buccaneers.
I know. Look, here's what I'm saying. Phoenix, but look, Giannis just got paid $60+ million a year. I feel like he's coming back on a tear. There's no way he loses MVP this year. I think Booker is probably second in voting to him. So I'm taking the best two players in the league this year to play each other with the supporting cast in Phoenix right now. It looks a lot better. So I like the Suns to beat Denver, and I like Milwaukee to beat the Celtics. To get there.
Well, for out of the East, I'm going to agree with Trey's MVP vote. Go check out his clip about his award prediction. I think Jason Tatum will be taking the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals, but not so fast. Out of the West, there's a sleeper team. Light the beam. I think the Sacramento Kings are going to the NBA Finals out of the West this year. I think they're going to shock everybody this year again. Behind, again, Trey's clip, sixth man of the year, Malik Monk.
There we go. Kentucky, baby.
Yeah, well.
Trey?
So I do think this is Jason Tatum's year. So I do think the Celtics are going to come out of the East. And we're going to do this with history. They're going to play the Lakers again because this is what the NBA always has. This always happens in the NBA. And we're due for one last Celtics-Lakers with a head up. And I feel like it's going to end up where you have LeBron versus Tatum. It'll be LeBron almost on his way out the door, kind of going to one of the new small forwards. They'll have to battle this out. And I think the Lakers have another move. I don't think D'Angelo Russell will be here all year. Something's going to happen. That D'Angelo Russell contract lines are perfectly to fit with a lot of players that you can trade for. And I think it lines up perfectly. So
tune into the socials for a Trey bomb. Yeah. ESPN has Woj. We have Trey.
Yeah, Trey.
I'll take Trey all day.
I'll take Trey.
10 out of 10.
That's how we call him? Trey.
That's what we call him, Trey Day. The men we just leave.
Well, let us know in the comments what you guys think for NBA Finals and who your team on the decline and who your team on the incline is. Love to hear that. All right, so this past weekend there was a couple questionable calls in a lot of the NFL games, like there is every single week. Every week, everyone's bitching about the refs somehow. And now the big thing around the NFL right now, we need to pay the refs full-time refs. Now, I always thought they were full-time because I didn't know what else they did other than referee games. So that's news to me, number one. Number two, looking at the NFL scope of things, and I was listening to a lot of former athletes talk about this. It is so hard for a referee in these games, and I'm not defending them at all because sometimes it's like, damn, how'd you miss it? A lot of times these guys are moving so quick, so fast. We're seeing it from a 30,000-foot lens, and we're seeing it, the whole play develop and seeing all the holds and everything. But they're on the ground. They're watching these big guys that are like 6'7", moving at 20 miles an hour on the field, and they're trying to keep up with everything, right? So Jim Irsay had a solution to this in the owners' meeting or what have you, was implementing a replay the last 2 minutes of the game for all calls, flags, everything. Now, there could be a problem with this, and I don't really like this because a lot of the rules are up for discretion at the end of the day, right? So we start doing this, like all receivers and cornerbacks hand check each other throughout the whole play. There's pass interference on every single play, whether it's on the offense or the defense. Every single play. There's a hold on every single play. So what are we going to do now? I mean, teams are going to have 500 yards and penalties yards. Like, this is going to get absolutely ridiculous. And if you guys remember, they did implement a replay on pass interference, and it didn't even last the season. I believe it's still a rule, but not many people do it because it barely got overturned. So when we look at this, a lot of these calls are up for discretion. Some of them are blatant, like in the Browns and Colts game. That could have been a non-call, and that costed them the game. I keep hearing about my Birds cheating or something like that against the Dolphins. Yeah, I'll give it to you, Dolphins fans. There was some missed calls. The one on Bradbury, a couple other ones. But there are also some bad calls on us in that game too. So when I'm looking at this, I don't like the idea. I agree, maybe refs need to be trained a little bit more. Maybe we put more refs on the field in order to see a lot more of these calls that are faster. But come on now, unless it's blatant like the Browns and the Colts game, don't blame a loss on a ref unless it's blatant, right? If your team's getting your ass kicked and you say, oh, there's the ref's fault, come on now. Some of this is on the teams as well. So ultimately, when I look at this, I say we should educate these refs more or put more personnel on the field versus going to replay, because I think the replay is going to do nothing but maybe ruin really good games. Moving into something that went into Jay's rant last week in 2028 with the LA Olympics, the Summer Olympics, flag football will be introduced. So this brought up a funny topic we were talking about in our group chat, is who we think current or past players would be an awesome fit for flag football. As you know, there's not a lot of tackling. There's nudging and stuff, but who would you think would be the best nudging? Well, who do you think would be a perfect fit for this, either current player or former players and whatnot? Mike?
Well, I have to stick with there's a lot of options here, definitely. But I have to stick
He's
with
gonna
my
fucking
New York.
say Danny Dimes, I guarantee it.
No, I'm not. I promise I'm not.
I thought it was coming.
I am the show. We're not even...
have to worry about getting sacked.
Exactly. Yeah, but he'll try to run and just run right into the defense so they can grab his flag. No, I'm actually going to pick a good Giants player. I'm going to stick with the New York Football Giants, but we're going to go a little bit into the past. We're going to go into the 80s and 90s to the greatest defensive player to ever play the game. Give me Lawrence Taylor.
Love it.
I like that, but I also don't think he would know how to let up. He'd be running at someone, just light their ass
Good.
up.
Good.
Like, Lawrence, it's flag.
I don't care. I got the flag. He's dead, but I got the flag. No, it's just like he's
gonna grab their whole waist.
Right. Yeah, no, he's that one person in the flag football game that instead of going for the flags, he just rips the belt off. Yeah, he's just such a freak athlete that I feel like on both sides of a flag football game, he would be intimidating to try to even go near to grab the flag, let alone actually grab the flag from. So I feel like it'd be interesting to see Lawrence Taylor play with his intensity and stuff. Jay, what do you think?
Well, I love that pick, and RIP Sean Taylor. I think he would be an animal as well. If you put him on the field, he would grab every flag he could.
He's a freaking
but
pitcher.
People keep forgetting, before the whole freak out Tyreek Hill, fastest ever, before even Tyreek, there was a man in a Chiefs uniform by the name of Dante Hall. You know what his
That
name
was mine. Oh, shit.
The human torch. All right. This guy, all decade team in the 2000s, over 12,000 total return yards, 12 return touchdowns. The guy probably got about 8,000 of those yards running east-west, avoiding tackles, right? And that's what you want on your flag football team. You want a guy who can go east-west, north-south, diagonal, back, forward, whatever you want. He was electrifying every damn week. It's like, kick the ball away from this guy or else you're asking for trouble. And he probably had, I think the average starting field position one year was like at the 50. It was ridiculous how good he was over like a 2-year period. But I just remember that guy being so fast, so compact, so small. That's the kind of person you want on a flag football team. Hard to grab him, elusive. He'll move left, right, dodge, whatever he has to do. I don't think the guy would get tackled, period. He'd probably be the MVP of any flag football league.
Trey?
That's crazy because Dante legit was mine. For the same reasons I said Dante, because in flag football, the goal is not to be touched, and you can't touch that dude. And that's the amazing part for Dante. So since I can use Dante, but I'm not going to use Dante here. I'll go to current day and go a little bit, I wouldn't say off the board, but the goal is not to be touched. So what quarterback is the hardest to touch? Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. You're going to go back there, somebody's going to try to do it, and he's going to hit a crazy wiggle on you. He may spin out, the flag's still going to be there, and then he's going to throw that ball down the field. So I just think Lamar would be ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. Of course, you look at Mahomes and these people, but the goal is to not be touched. Mm-hmm. And that's why people such as like, if you're for the offensive part, you look at like a Dante or you look at Lamar. One other person you look at, and hopefully I'm not stealing John's person here, but John's boy Shady McCoy would have been an amazing one because the man
he was elusive, bro.
Yeah, elusive. If you have somebody shady back there, he's not getting touched, and that's the goal. Get it, wiggle them waist, do your little dance with the stars move, and don't get touched. Who you got on the board, John?
So I had about 5, and I know I'm only gonna pick one, but the person I'm gonna go with is the one and the only Michael Vick. That dude can throw the ball off his flat foot almost 70 yards. Now, I know it's probably not going to play 100 yards, but he can just do this. But he also – I remember watching him play in the early – when he was in his prime, I was just like, damn, this dude is just untouchable. He was untouchable where guys weren't even touching him in tackle football. I can't imagine flag football in his prime, people not even touching him going 80 yards down the field. So I feel like he is exactly like Lamar in that sense, where he can spin out of it, and if he's about to get touched, he can just flick it, not even being set, and just flick it like down the field to anyone. So Michael Vick, I had a few other ones, and I want to just can I list them out for you guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this one I was kind of up in the air with, but because he's a freak of nature, Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yep.
LT, baby. I watched the highlights of him the other day, and I was like, damn, I forgot how fast he was. He was just
it's insane.
The reason the question came up, but actually somebody on Twitter was saying, what if LT played it? And that's when I sent you on the group and said, hey, let's talk about it, because that was literally the person they were talking about.
Obviously, Cheetah, Tyreek, he's fast as shit. And he keeps getting faster as he's getting older, which is crazy.
Insane. I don't know.
And then for ultimately, like, elusive wide receivers and guys who can just, like, manhandle people, is T.O. T.O. is just a monster. I don't think people realize T.O. is – and I'm not comparing him to, but A.J. Brown reminds me of T.O.
Mm-hmm.
His
stylistically,
he was never really the fastest receiver, T.O.,
right,
but he was always stronger. He pretty much was a human glove. He just catch everything. And that's what you need. You need someone that's going to come down with the ball. So I would say him, those 4 or 5, I should say. So
I'll tell you what, though, just because I want to see this name on the back of a jersey, Adam Pac-Man Jones.
Yes.
That's a Pac-Man.
He won't make it. He'd be great, but he wouldn't make it.
My backup was Megatron.
Oh, that'd be good.
For roughly the same reasons as T.O. Like just freak athlete that would just overpower everybody. It was reported this week that Craig Counsell is going to be interviewing for the vacant New York Mets job after his current team that he manages, the Milwaukee Brewers, granted the Mets permission to talk to him. Now, when I heard this, my initial reaction, and still my reaction, is why? Why would you go to the Mets, Craig? I mean, you're the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. You've been there since 2015. You played with them for a while. You're on their wall of honor already, and you grew up in South Bend, Indiana, home of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, surrounded by coverage of the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, it's the perfect job for you. And the Mets have proven to be a dumpster fire over the last few years, if not the last few decades. Craig, with the Brewers, since you've been the manager in 2015, you've gone to the playoffs 5 out of the last 6 years. You've won the division 3 out of the last 6 years. You've been to an NLCS. You've been to some wildcard rounds of DS. You've had a lot of success with this team, and the Mets have not. They just haven't. No matter the talent they put together, the coaching staff, all that, they just seem to never be able to get over the hump. So why would you put yourself in that situation where you're already in Milwaukee, who won the division and is in position to get even better next year? I don't understand what that move would be. I mean, granted, yeah, they're probably going to throw a lot of money at you, but that's great. But you're not going to be in a great baseball situation. So if you want the money, I suppose go. But I would say if you want to be in a situation where you can actually win a World Series and have success, stay in Milwaukee.
So let us know in the comments who you think would be amazing at flag football, current day or past NFL. And it doesn't even have to be NFL. It could be any sport. So let us know what you think in the comments. But fellas, I think it's time for our signature STUMP. Boom. Squad.
Yeah, boy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in once again to Cinco Squad. We reach our favorite point of score. This is Stump the Squad. Guys, by now you should know. We know it all in sports. I only get it wrong so these guys can catch up to me. All right, that's how it is. So get it right, you get 2 points. You get it wrong, you get -2 points. The individual who has the most points at the end of Stump the Squad gets a big dub for the week. We're accumulating wins all the way up to show 100, where we will crown, hint, hint, the most wins at that point to be the Stump the Squad El Rey, the king, the champ, the one to take it to the next 25 after that. And right now I'm sitting in the driver's seat, but things have not looked good for the past 2 weeks. So it's time we move off this seat and onto a new one. I'm going to take it down south to Trey Day. Take us away this week, Trey.
Okay, we're going to take it to the diamond. Let's see what happens here.
Okay.
It's my expertise. Why wouldn't we take it to the diamond? Y'all see me on a rotation.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you're the closer.
Okay, so since we are in the since we're at the World Series, we're gonna have a World Series fact here. So we all love Game 7s of the World Series, of course. Nothing like the best 2 words in sports, Game 7.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna name you 4 years. Of these 4 years, which one of these 4 years has something odd about their Game 7? I guess is the easy way to phrase it. Right. So there's something different about the Game 7 of the series of these 4 years. We're going to go with 1907, 1914, 1921, or 1928.
21. Can you do something for me?
John's going 1921. Now remember, something different.
Something different about their Game 7.
About their Game 7.
Say it again, 7.
So 1907, 1914, 1921, 1928. What was different about the Game 7?
1928, because I believe that's the year of the Great Depression, which meant something different may have happened about where the game may have been played or who was let into the game or something like that. So I'm going to go with 28.
Okay, so we have a 21. We have a 28. What do we have, Mike?
Well, it's quite tempting to go with 1907, given the number. Also, we're talking about Game 7. It's too many 7s. We're going to double the 7, and we're going to go with my gut and say 1914.
Okay, we have a 1914 for Mike. So we have 1914 for Mike, 1921 for John, and we have 1928 for Jamie. Yes. So I have successfully stumped everybody except for John. Now, what actually happened in 1921, which was different about their Game 7, is the series actually continued because there were 4 years in baseball where they actually played 9-game series for the World Series.
Damn.
1903, 1919, 1920, and 1921. They wanted to try something different, so they actually ran 9-game series. That year, 1921, the New York Giants of baseball beat the New York Yankees in a series 5-3. So the series continued. That's the Game 7. We weren't done.
There was a Game 8.
There was a Game 8. And the New York Giants of baseball won Game 8 of the World Series.
My team beat my team. No.
Yeah. So let's move it on to John. We're not going to let him get too hot. So let's go.
All right.
Smart.
So how many 4,000-yard passers have the Chicago Bears had in their entirety of their existence? Is it 2, 0, 3, or 6?
0.
Damn.
How'd you guys know?
It's
Because
the
their
Bears.
receivers have been bad.
The receivers were bad. We had that fact the other week. So I felt like the receivers were that bad.
No, Bears and quarterback means the lowest possible average
everything with
you can
Bears.
throw out there.
All right. I didn't stump anyone. It's 0, everyone.
Yeah, we were like unanimous with that.
Bastards. All right. I don't even know who to go next. All you guys answered on the same
Sorry to burst the
fucking
bubble,
time.
but
0.
0.
I was like trying to throw it in. I was
Negative.
actually,
We should all be like, "Where's the -1 option, bro?"
bro, I had it written down at first because I forgot what the question was. I was like, "Oh wait, you can't do that in this sport." So, all right, Jay, go ahead. Fuck.
All right, so here's an easy one. NBA season's kicked off. Congrats to Giannis. $183 million extension over 3 years. Pay the man. He owns the NBA right now. So how many NBA teams have yet to win an NBA championship? Is it 8, 9, 11, or 12?
8, 9, 11, or 12.
I'm going 12.
There's like so many years where it's like
9.
Celtics, Lakers,
Celtics.
Bulls.
Lakers, Celtics, Lakers.
Spurs.
Rockets, Rockets.
Spurs,
Lakers.
Oh, see, Knicks aren't one of them. So Knicks
No.
haven't won.
1970.
77 or 8, I think. Around.
No,
Yeah.
70 and
All right, I'm gonna go 11.
Mike, how many you said?
I said 9.
9. And Trey?
12.
I have successfully stumped everybody but John. It is 11. It was 12 until Denver won last year.
The Denver one.
Mhm. Yeah.
I knew it was either 11 or 12. I can't remember. I've read it somewhere.
The other thing that was tripping me up was how many teams have moved over the years.
Yeah. So,
I'm like,
like,
did
the
they
Sonics
win
went
in their
to
old
Oklahoma
place?
City. So, Oklahoma would count because the Sonics won one, and they count that as winning because it's the same franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Timberwolves haven't, but the Minneapolis Lakers won.
Yeah,
Lakers.
Right.
All right, Mike. So the scores are Jamie 0, me 4, Trey 0, Mike -2.
Oh,
So I can't win.
So it's between us 3, pretty much.
You 3.
So I have to get it wrong. They have to get it right.
Okay.
tiebreaker, here we go.
Oh, I do have one that is set up to have a tiebreaker. So if we have one, I got it.
Cool.
Okay. On the topic of backup quarterbacks, gentlemen, tell me which of the following notable backup quarterbacks had the most career starts?
Let's go back.
He's not an option. Wait for your options, Jamie. Is it A, Chad Henne, B, Charlie Batch, C, Seneca Wallace, or D, the pride of the University of Texas, Hook'em Horns, Colt McCoy?
Oh man, that's tough. I feel
That's
like Colt.
green. I need some with my Hennessy.
I feel like
And
Colt
he's
had a lot in Arizona, but I also think Chad Henne played a lot in
I'm going to
Jacksonville.
go Charlie Batch, the pride of Eastern Michigan.
Okay.
So let's go one more time. Henne, Batch,
Henne, Chad Henne,
Seneca.
Charlie Batch, Seneca Wallace,
Seneca Wallace.
or Colt McCoy.
We go Seneca Wallace.
Okay, so Jay, what'd you say?
I feel like Colt McCoy's been such a journeyman, and he's been all over the map, and he's had opportunities. So I'll go with Colt.
Colt McCoy. All right. So we got a Charlie Batch for Trey, a Colt McCoy for Jamie, and a Seneca Wallace for John. I have successfully stumped everyone but Trey.
Damn it!
It is Charlie Batch, which means we have a tiebreaker.
Oh, the goddamn fucking tiebreaker.
Charlie Batch
man.
had a lot of starts to the Lions, and then Ben used to get hurt. And
That's right. Yep.
Charlie Batch just started like 2-3 games for the Steelers for like 3 seasons because Ben would always get hurt. So I'm like, no, I think it's Batch.
Oh, God, Trey.
Batch was the Lions for years.
Golly.
So we do have a tiebreaker.
All right, tiebreaker. What's up?
Tiebreaker. Well, we're going to steer away from Mr. Batch. And what we're going to ask you guys, since you were so interested in how many exactly Colt McCoy had, tell me, how many did Colt McCoy have?
No, we're talking how many career wins.
How many starts?
How many starts
Starts
in his career
Okay, just
has
starts.
Colt McCoy had?
I'm gonna guess.
Which is probably
I'm gonna
over
guess
since he just got
you guys guess.
You can guess last, Jay, if you want.
Yeah.
So hold on, just to clarification for myself. Is it between John and Trey? It's between John
Yes.
and Trey.
Me and Trey, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes. How many starts did Mr. Colt McCoy have?
golly. I forgot when he went to Texas, so I forget how long he's been in the league.
I'm going to go with.
I know.
I'm going to go with 10.
John says 10.
Career starts, we're saying?
Career starts.
Yeah.
Mr. Colt McCoy.
I could be a dick and just say 11.
Fucker.
Unless it's below 10, in which case he'd be wrong.
Unless it's below 10. I'm going to go with 32.
Yeah, I like 36 at first, but I figured that was a lot, so I'm going with 17.
38.
Okay. So, John, you have said 10. Trey has said 32. And Jamie is saying what? Just for
17.
17. Well, gentlemen, we have a winner. Our winner of week 82. Moving into sole possession of second place is Trey. And Jamie, it's a shame that you weren't involved and you didn't go with your first option because you would have been dead on.
Yeah, 17.
36 starts for Colt McCoy.
30.
Congratulations.
He had those Browns years and a couple years where he got a lot of starts.
Also, he's been in the league for 12 years.
If I was an NHL team, I'd have so many overtime losses.
You get a point. You
get a point for that, though.
You might make. There's been teams that have made the playoffs simply because they had 12 OT losses.
My record would be like 2, 40, and 30.
And somehow we made the playoffs.
Well, Trey, congratulations on your Week 82 win.
Hey, Trey, big game up in Pittsburgh this week. Didn't think it would be for first place, did you?
To be honest, I'm more shocked with us. I'm more nervous. We always shit the bed against Jacksonville. The Steelers are fun facts, if we do fun facts here. The Steelers are career 13 and 14 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Most people don't realize that, but Mark Brunell put us out back in the 90s in the playoffs. Then we had the shitty Blake Bortles game. There was this game where Fournette in the same season beat the hell out. I was like, this just happens with us and the Jaguars.
All right, fellas. The scores are Jamie with 5, Trey with 3, Mike and I with 2. So we got till week 100, and we'll see who hoists the belt, the crown, the trophy, whatever you want to call it. We got something special for you guys for the Stump the Squad winner. Guys, any final thoughts going into the weekend?
Irish are back after a bye week, and we get to play Pitt, which hopefully should be a big win. And hopefully the Giants get a win. Hopefully the World Series will have begun, and I'm very excited for that to watch on my new 65-inch television.
Nice. World's biggest cocktail party taking place just up north from here. Can Florida knock off Georgia?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Unfortunately, I think that's going to be a 2 to 3 score win.
I agree.
So, we got the World Series coming this weekend. We got college football, and we got college basketball right around the corner 2 weeks from now. Opening night for college basketball. Can't wait. Make sure you tune into the socials. We'll be live tweeting, so make sure you converse with us. We'll make sure to converse back, and don't be afraid to let us have it sometimes. So
exactly.
Make sure you guys tune into the show next week, episode 83 on Thursday at noon. We'll see you here next week. Cinco Squad out.